Yeah, I didn't know which way to go, so I stopped and asked a couple of walkers who suggested heading over this way to the actual bowl where Eisenhower, President Eisenhower that is, addressed the troops. So let's go. Oh, good grief, it's cold. Oh, it's a cold one today. I'm here at Cheesefoot Head, I think I said that right, in Winchester. This is, you might have heard of a festival called Boomtown. Now apparently this is where a lot of the camping happens. Cheesefoot Head. Particularly famous because just over there, and hopefully we'll get some footage of it, is the bowl where President Eisenhower addressed the troops, many of which were stationed here in Winchester. Got rich sort of military history as Winchester. But anyway, that's not the point of today's video. The point of today's video is to explain two ways in which to read a photograph and how one of them can really help us get unstuck, unlock our creativity, solve problems. And I use this technique at work and in my own personal life as well. I use images a lot when I'm working with clients, when they're stuck on problems, trying to think about the future direction of the business, to try and draw out creative thinking, those ideas, those solutions, those paths forward. But they also work in our own personal lives when we're stuck on something, using an image and reading it in two particular ways. The first one is called realism. So when we look at a picture, we can describe all of the elements in it. Is it black and white? Is it color? Are there trees? Is there a field? Is it sunny? Is there a person in it? Is there a subject in it? This is kind of the description of the photograph. And pretty much everybody will describe broadly the same kind of things. Having to keep pushing my hood away. It's basically the description of what the picture shows, what it is that is inside the frame. And then the second way to read a photograph is what's called conventionalism. I often call this the sort of assumed context. And so you apply your own sort of subjective feelings, emotion, history, narrative to the picture itself. And this is where we can start to breed that creativity. This is what I like to do, is to use a photograph with no context around it at all, no narrative, no story from the person who took the picture, just a photograph. We then start telling a story about it, not describing what's in the picture, but actually telling a story about it. You know, who took it? Why did they take it? What were they trying to represent when they took that photograph? You know, who's in it? Why are they in it? What are they doing? How do these people live their lives? You can see how you can start to build up this context around it that was never given to you by the person who took the picture, but you're applying it yourself. It's from your own mind, your own imagination. And you can therefore see how you can start to make breakthroughs and connections and creative sort of solutions to problems, particularly if you do this in a group setting, which is what I like to do. There's plenty of walkers out and about today. There's a big group just gone past. Really nice, really lovely folk actually. Had a good chat. They thought I was Instagram, YouTube famous, which I'm not, but that was quite nice anyway, at least for a brief moment. I was recently scanning in some of my grandparents' old photographs, and there was this one particular image that really stood out for me. It was a picture of the Palladium Theatre in Los Angeles. Now, with a bit of Googling and a bit of searching, I realized that this was obviously Los Angeles. I didn't really know where it was to start with. Then I sort of did a bit more internet research, and on the front of the theatre was an advert for Jerry Gray show. So with a bit of internet archive digging, I realized and discovered that this was a show probably somewhere around January in 1961, which would tie to about when my grandparents went to California to visit some relatives. Now, in the image, I can obviously describe the theatre. I'm going to put the image on the screen. I can describe the cars, the scene, and the colours, and the theatre, and everything about it I can describe in that kind of realism way. But then I got thinking, well, who was my grandfather with? Presumably my nan, you know, I would assume, and maybe relatives who I've never met, but apparently live in San Diego. And then I started thinking, did he actually go to the show? I mean, why did he take that particular picture along with a couple of others that I managed to scan in? So I did a bit more research and digging and realized and discovered that that Jerry Gray concert was actually recorded. And then I started thinking, well, hang on a minute. Did he go to the concert? Did he enjoy the concert? Can I hear him in the audience clapping? Is he part of the audience that was recorded as part of that show? What was it like in 1961 in Los Angeles at that theatre? Was it hot? What are the cars like? What's it like to live there? How did he get there on an aeroplane in 1961? What was that like back then when air travel wasn't as ubiquitous as it is today? You know, what was he thinking? What was he feeling? Who was he with? And you start to apply all of this narrative to it. That is the contextual thinking. That is conventionalism. That is that assumed context that I am bringing to it from my history, from my beliefs, from my knowledge, from my insights to that picture, because there was no narrative, there was no context provided. You see, that's the power of photographs that don't have that context, is they don't give you an answer, they don't give you a solution. They give you questions that you can answer. And in answering them, you often find the path to the solution, new creative ideas emerge. And when I'm running this with clients, that is exactly what we do. They have a problem. They have their own beliefs and systems and knowledge and awareness of what's happening in their organization. And with a prompt of several photographs with no context, they get to start thinking. They bring their imagination to it and the ideas start flying and bouncing around. It's a wonderful thing to see. And it works extremely well. So when you split a photograph into what is there, which is the realism, and what you imagine, which is the conventionalism, there's a gap. And in that gap is where creativity thrives. And I think that next time you're stuck, maybe writing isn't the answer, using photos with no context might be the way for you to generate a solution, to get through the problem, to get unstuck, to come up with new ideas. A photograph can reach parts of the brain and parts of the imagination that words alone can't. That guy's keen, he's just run all the way up there. It's impressive, I struggle to walk it. Cyclist, still super self-conscious out recording video. I don't know why. That's human nature, I guess, isn't it? It is magically beautiful here, actually. It's very, very cold. I've got my fingerless gloves on. It is beautiful. So that there is the bowl. See if we can't zoom in. Famous for Eisenhower dressing the troops during World War II. Not sure I can get any closer than that. Certainly from up here. It's pretty impressive though. Tell you what, this little tree-lined path is pretty spectacular, I'll be honest.